Horror movies thrive on poor decisions, but what if those choices weren't just fictional? What if they were ripped from the pages of reality itself? The truth is, sometimes, real life is more terrifying than any horror film. We've all been there, watching a scary movie and yelling at the screen, "Don't go in there." But the characters rarely listen, do they? And their curiosity, their arrogance, it always leads them down a path they can't return from. Here are 5 true scary stories, inspired by the dumbest decisions in horror films. Choices that real people have made, with terrifying consequences that will chill you to your core. Picture this: a group of friends, young and carefree, renting a 19th century farmhouse for a weekend getaway. They're excited, eager to escape the city and enjoy each other's company. The old farmhouse has a certain charm to it, a rustic appeal that speaks of a simpler time. But beneath the surface, there's a darkness lurking, a secret history that's about to be unearthed. On the first night, they stumble upon an old heavy wooden door in the kitchen. It's tucked away in a corner, almost hidden from view. Curiosity gets the better of them. They try the handle, but it's locked, secured with a heavy padlock that's rusted with age. One of the friends, let's call him Jake, dismisses it with a shrug. It's probably just an old root cellar, he says. But something about that locked door sends shivers down their spines. Despite a sense of unease, they decide to break the lock. They find an old crowbar in the barn. With a loud crack, the lock gives way, and the door creaks open, revealing a staircase leading down into darkness. The air grows cold, a damp, earthy smell wafting up from the depths. They grab flashlights, their beams cutting through the oppressive darkness. As their eyes adjust, they begin to make out the shapes of dusty furniture, old boxes, and cobwebs. And then they see them, strange markings on the walls, symbols etched into the stone. In the center of the basement floor, they find a circle formed by unlit candles. A chill runs down their spines, a primal instinct telling them to turn back. But they try to laugh it off, their nervous laughter echoing in the silence. As the night wears on, the house seems to come alive. Whispers seem to emanate from the walls. Footsteps echo from empty rooms. They leave the door to the basement wide open, a silent testament to the horror they encountered. Deep in the heart of the wilderness, nestled among towering trees and shrouded in an eerie silence, lies a forest with a sinister reputation. Locals whisper tales of disappearances, of hikers venturing off the beaten path, never to be seen again. But legends often have a way of attracting those who seek to tempt fate. A group of friends, their backpacks laden with supplies, their spirits high with the thrill of adventure, set out to conquer the trails of this infamous forest. They're experienced hikers, confident in their abilities, their laughter echoing through the trees. As they venture deeper into the woods, the sunlight struggles to penetrate the dense canopy above. The air grows heavy with humidity, the silence broken only by the crunch of leaves beneath their boots. They come across a fork in the trail, an old weathered sign indicating the path less traveled. Curiosity whispers in their ears. They decide to veer off course to explore the uncharted territory. The trail leads them deeper into the heart of the forest, the trees closing in around them. And then they see it, an old cabin nestled among the trees, its wooden walls rotting, its windows boarded up. A weathered sign nailed to the front door sends a chill down their spines. Do not enter. But the allure of the unknown proves too strong to resist. They ignore the warning, their curiosity overriding their better judgment. They push open the creaking door, stepping inside. The air is thick with the smell of decay, of dust and dampness. As their eyes adjust to the gloom, they begin to make out the shapes of furniture draped in dusty sheets, books scattered across the floor. They find old maps pinned to the walls, their edges frayed. And then they see them, the warnings scrawled across the walls in a frantic hand. Turn back, beware, they are watching. A sudden noise from outside shatters the silence. Fear grips their hearts. They make a decision that will seal their fate. They decide to split up. The air crackled with anticipation as a group of teenagers gathered for a sleepover. Amongst the laughter and shared confidences, a cardboard box adorned with mystical symbols emerged, the Ouija board. Despite its mass-produced origins, the board held an undeniable power. One of the teenagers, Emily, shifted uncomfortably. She'd heard the stories, the whispered tales of real-life encounters. Maybe we shouldn't, she ventured, her voice barely a whisper. Her words were met with laughter. Oh, come on, Em, chuckled Jessica, her fingers already tracing the surface of the planchette. It's just a game. They gathered around the board, their fingers lightly resting on the planchette. "Is anyone there?" Jessica asked, her voice hushed. The planchette remained motionless. Then slowly it began to move. It glided across the board, stopping on a single chilling word: "Leave!" A collective gasp escaped the group. Emily felt a surge of dread, but instead of heeding the warning, one of the teenagers scoffed. "What are you gonna do about it?" he challenged. The vast expanse of the American landscape stretched out before them, a tapestry of endless highways and forgotten towns. A young couple, their car humming with the promise of adventure, embarked on a road trip. Their laughter filled the car, their love a tangible presence. They had a plan, a carefully curated route marked on a well-worn map. But fate had other plans. A wrong turn led them astray, their journey taking an unexpected turn down a deserted highway. The sun began its descent as they stumbled upon a lone gas station. The building itself seemed to sag under the weight of neglect. An old man, his face etched with a lifetime of hard living, emerged from the shadows. "Fill her up," he rasped. As he pumped gas, he cast them a wary glance. "You folks ain't from around here, are you?" He shook his head. "You don't want to be heading down that road after dark." He pointed a gnarled finger down the highway. "Turn back while you still can." The young couple exchanged uneasy glances, but they were young, their heads filled with romantic notions of adventure. They dismissed the old man's words. "Thanks for the heads up," the young man replied. He paid for the gas, his hand brushing against the old man's. They climbed back into their car, the engine roaring to life. As they pulled away from the gas station, the old man watched them go. As night fell, the darkness pressed in on them. The silence was deafening, broken only by the hum of the engine. And then, without warning, the engine sputtered, coughed, and died. The energy was palpable as a group of college students prepared for a night of revelry. Music pulsed from a nearby house, the rhythmic thumping a siren song. They were young, their lives stretching out before them. As they made their way towards the party, one of them suggested a shortcut. "I know a way," he declared. "It'll save us a ton of time." He pointed towards a narrow path that cut through the woods. The others hesitated. "Are you sure about this, Mark?" one of them asked. "It's pretty dark, and I've heard stories about that path." Locals whispered tales of strange occurrences on that path. But Mark brushed aside their concerns. "Don't be ridiculous," he scoffed. "Those are just stories. Come on, let's go." And so, against their better judgment, they followed him. The path was narrow, the air thick with the smell of damp earth. The trees pressed in on them, their branches forming a canopy overhead. The further they ventured into the woods, the more oppressive the silence became. They walked in silence, their earlier laughter replaced by an unspoken tension. And then they saw it. At the edge of the path, partially obscured by the shadows, stood a figure. It was tall and slender, its back to them, its head tilted at an unnatural angle. It didn't move, didn't acknowledge their presence in any way. The dumbest decisions in horror movies might seem exaggerated, carefully crafted to elicit screams and gasps from the audience. But the truth is, reality often surpasses fiction in its capacity for terror. Curiosity, arrogance, the refusal to heed warnings. These are not merely plot devices but human flaws that have led countless individuals down dark and dangerous paths. The stories we've explored serve as chilling reminders that the unknown holds a strange allure, a siren song that can be difficult to resist. But sometimes, the bravest, wisest decision is to acknowledge the boundaries of our understanding, to respect the warnings whispered through generations, and to leave well enough alone. The next time you're tempted to venture off the beaten path, to explore the shadows that lurk at the edge of the map, to tempt fate with a Ouija board or a forbidden shortcut, remember these stories. Remember the price of unchecked curiosity, and choose wisely. For sometimes the greatest horror lies not in the unknown, but in the consequences of our own actions.